Boys and girls, we're back at the boat ramp. Had a heck of a day fishing today out with Kyler Beckman, guide here on Truman Lake, and he's been around for a while, does a lot of tournament fishing as well, but he's pretty stellar on the old crappie. And we're going to fill you in a little bit on what we were doing today. We were just kind of messing around. We weren't really trying to keep a whole bunch of fish. We could have, I think pretty much every single fish we caught we could have kept, except maybe that one little guy that thumped it real hard as I was trying to get to the big one. But Kyler, will you break down a little bit about what we were doing, how we were finding the fish?
So what I'm focusing on right now mainly is any kind of little depression. And when I say depression, sometimes I'm talking even in shallower water. Sometimes we might be in, 5, 6, 7 foot of water, and I'm looking for that just a little bit deeper in black stumps right now. They're really holding well on the black stumps. That's what I call them. It's like a lot of the old hardwoods, so like your oaks and stuff like that. It's kind of what we're fishing right now. There's a lot of fish also in some stake beds and the shallower stake beds, but I'm really focusing mainly on the black stumps. And sometimes also, like I said, depressions might also be even out to like 20 foot deep. And there's some fish in that water too. Most of the fish though, even in that deeper water, about the deepest fish that we're fishing for is only about 10 foot deep.
And a majority of our fish probably today were in 10, 12 feet of water or less.
Yep.
And they were sitting about 6 to 8 feet down. There wasn't a lot that were sitting high up in the water column, even early.
Yep, not this morning, which is kind of odd because every other morning here, well, this week anyways, first thing we've been catching our fish super shallow, sometimes even just like maybe 2 feet below the surface. But we didn't see that very much this morning. The fish that were sitting up high this morning was mainly white bass.
Yep. So, no, it was a good day of fishing. I think we had 30 plus fish. Weather conditions, it's getting pretty hot now. I mean, we're talking upper 80s, low 90s probably now. It's about noon. It was good fishing all morning long. Blue bird skies, really light wind. One thing,
all your worst conditions really.
Yeah. It was interesting. We talk about boat control pretty frequently in the fishing reports, and it is vitally important. Even with that light wind, when you get out there, especially in the upper Grand where we have been at today, it's really open, and so even that light wind can get a lot of momentum around it. It can turn your boat back and forth. And one thing that was pretty interesting with how just focused Kyler was when we'd find a fish, and if there was a little stick up that was going to prevent us from making a good drop on it, we would actually back out and go around that stick up to make sure that our first drop on that fish was going to be productive.
Perfect.
Yep, exactly. So
that's the main thing right now. Like your drops, which today it didn't seem to matter as much, but throughout the week though, that's been key. Is like that first time you get that bait down there, you need to have it almost perfect. And you have to get it down in front of her and then just hold it as dead still as you possibly can. And like, I know you guys, when that fish cocks up at it, you want to be moving that bait a little bit. Don't do it. If you just hold it there, you're going to catch her.
It was pretty funny. I mean, Kyler is an expert looking at live scope. I'm not quite as seasoned, but you'll get to see some other video from our trip today where, he's like, okay, move the rod to the left, up, down, to the right, more to the right, more to the right, down, up. And just it was, but it wasn't jerking it. It was just keeping it as still as possible, getting it in front of that fish, right above it was key.
Yep.
And holding it there. And there was a couple of fish we caught today that he was sitting there and showing me what to do, and it took a good 2 minutes, and we got it to bite. And that's just the way it is right now. The big ones definitely were more finicky. The smaller fish in that 9 to 11 inch range seemed to definitely thump it pretty good.
Yeah, they just eat it.
But those bigger ones, I mean, we missed a lot. Not like we missed them in the sense that they wouldn't even bite. So it's finicky on those big ones, but I think we're still expecting. There's a couple tournaments today. Still expecting to see some big weights. So
I mean, well, we had one that was a shade over 2 pounds, and we had several really good tournament quality fish too. And then we missed. Me personally, I missed 3 of them. They actually bit, and the hook just didn't quite grab. And there was more. It was 3 more than 2+ pounders. So somebody today, I'm saying 13 plus should win today.
Fish were very tight to the trees. I mean, we did find a couple open water fish, but they were very tight to the trees. We found a couple stake beds. There were some fish in those as well. So when you see those, it's just a bunch of just straight up looking bars, essentially. So when you see something that looks kind of funky like that, that's stake bed. And you ought to mark that on your map, because
I mark every one of my come too.
Yep. So that's pretty much it. I mean, the water here from Sparrowfoot to Otter Creek is real dirty. I mean, we're talking maybe not even 2 inches of visibility.
Nah.
So, but it's still fishable, but that's why you have to have it so close and tight on the fish, because you might have it right around them and they don't see it. And so that's why it's key to just keep it dead still and keep it right on them. Water temperature I saw was about 76.5, maybe creeping up to 77 by the time we got off the water. So it's, you know, it's been in the mid to upper 70s here for the last 7 to 10 days. Yep. And whatnot. But there's a good bite in the upper Grand where we were at. There's a good bite in the mid to lower Grand. Balkanberry was out yesterday or the day before in the lower Grand and did pretty good on good keepers. There's a lot of small fish down that end as well, but did pretty good. Now, the one thing too that we were doing today, it was all jigs.
Yep.
There was no minnows.
Straight jigs.
Jigs with 1/8 ounce sinker above the jig. It was a 16th ounce jig, hair jig. You know, pretty similar to what you would call probably a shad type pattern.
Yeah. Your typical kind of shaddy gray silvers.
Yep.
Anything like any kind of silver, grays, chartreuse, anything like that right now will work just fine. You just get it down there and hold it.
Yep. So no, great, great day out on the water, and it's only going to get better and better as they start their fall feed up. We started noticing some pretty big guts on them today. So
the water temperature keeps coming down, and fish should get more and more active every day. And then we get to my favorite time of the year, which is actually the winter time. That's my absolute favorite time to crappie fish.
Well, and I think a lot of the guides say the same thing. Everyone always wants to know about the spawn. When's the spawn? When's the spawn?
Screw the spawn.
Yeah, that is the deal.
I hate the spawn.
Come out in the wintertime on Truman, you're gonna hammer on them. So
and big ones.
Yep. Kyler, let everyone know how they can get a hold of you to book a trip.
So you can get a hold of me by telephone, 573-789-3263. Call me or shoot me a message. Most of the times, if you guys call me during the day, I'm not going to answer because I'm typically out guiding. But I will call you back as soon as I can that evening. You can also follow me on Facebook at Kyler Beckman Fishing. Also at Instagram, the same thing. And then if you're into emails, you can shoot me an email at kbguideservice.com or kbguideservice@gmail.com. And you can get a hold of me that way too. So I've got lots of different outlets that you can find me and get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, hey guys, thanks a bunch for tuning in. For those of you that are watching this, we know you're premium members that are paying to get these fishing reports. We appreciate the support a ton.
Did we get a close-up of that little bitty bait that we was using today for him?
We can. I'll overlay that for you guys to see it, because I got some video of it, and we'll show you. I got a good fish picture with it in a crappie's mouth, so we'll throw that up on here for you guys to see, and you guys can try to mimic that if you can. So, but with that, we appreciate you guys watching. We'll look forward to catching you on the next one.